Conversate for a few.
Welcome to the next episode of Conversate for a Few. I'm Jonna.
I'm Alan. This is not a podcast about classical music.
Absolutely is not. This is a podcast about hip hop. What we doing today, bruh?
Yo, we got to talk about ageism in hip hop. Now, there's certain topics that I'm more passionate about than others.
Right.
This is one of those topics that I was really wanting to get out. You know what I mean? And I'm going to, I don't even know if I told you, but I'm going to explain to you and few Tang Clan and our first time listeners and everyone tuning in, like how it even came to me. So of course, you know, the world is in a whole TikTok craze, right? You can literally find videos on TikTok for everything. So I was just going through, right? Someone sent me a video, and then after that video, I was just swiping through. But a dude about 17, 18 years old. He looked about 17, 18, right?
Okay.
He made a video, and it was a part one. And it was saying rappers that we don't listen to anymore. And this was the thing. So the first one he said, he was like 2 Chainz, you know what I mean? He was like, we liked you. You did do some good songs back then or whatever, but man, we don't listen to your music no more. You old, bro. We don't listen to you no more. And then he mentioned, what is the guy named YG something, or maybe it was Moneybagg Yo.
Really?
Who was the rapper that a few months ago, or it was like a few months ago, the set he was at video, they start shooting. It's bad that I'm forgetting his name, but I don't really listen to his music.
He's a young rapper?
No, he's older. He's probably my age, like 30. He's between 35 and 39 for sure.
It's not YG. I don't remember.
It may be, but I couldn't remember for sure if he said that. But I think that's the name he said, right?
Okay.
But it was like you had some good songs, but now you old, you washed up. Nobody want to hear you. Like, but what I'm noticing, so I started getting upset. Not even because I'm the biggest 2 Chainz fan, the biggest YG fan. He named somebody else. He named like 3, 4 people, and I'm just listening, and I literally wanted to slap this dude, right? Because the fucking ignorance to me that he was displaying to the public, right? I'm like, but I noticed the bias. It wasn't like the thing. I wouldn't have had a problem if he would have been like, you don't make good music. You have consistently not made good music for years now. We done with you. We ain't listening to you, right?
Right.
But that wasn't the thing. Every time he said we don't listen to you, each artist, he attached an age to it. And eventually ended up saying you're old, you know what I mean? And so I didn't like that, but it made me want to really flesh this topic out and deal with what you coined perfectly, ageism in hip hop, because I don't like that. For one, we are the only genre of music that put an age limit on our artists and tell them when they can no longer express the art that they love. No other genre do that. Still touring today that was out when I was a child.
Right.
You don't even find, think about classical. If you ever been to a symphony orchestra, you don't even find any teens playing in that. Ain't no teens in the Boston Philharmonic.
Ain't no teens listening to it either, though.
Right. But still, the point is, like, nobody ever tells the violinists, even the violinists that start when they're young, nobody tells them when they're in their 50s, you should hang up playing that violin. You ain't playing that Mendelssohn right. Like, nobody tells them that. You know, because they understand this is something that's timeless. But before you weigh in, one more point, right? You know what I mean? And that is, I wasn't sure when we started out this podcast, right? Even up to today, a few hours before we recorded, I didn't understand exactly what the point of the podcast was. Right? I know the great benefit. I know what we discuss. I know we give out jewels, all of that. but I figured out at least one thing. I'm not gonna say it's the only, but one of the things our podcast is for and has to be a staple in our brand of podcasting about hip hop is myth busting in hip hop.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
I would say starting with ageism in hip hop, but really we already did this myth busting with really starving artists, with
homosexuality, ghostwriting, homosexuality, misogyny, starving artists. Ageism is the next one on the back. But you're right. Myth busting is something we need to be doing here, and I think it's important. And if it's not myth busting, if it's not myth busting, it's explaining why the myth persists.
Right. Oh, sorry. And weigh in real quick on the second part of that is removing stigmas, removing unnecessary stigmas from hip hop. That's what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And this is one of them, that you can be dope and you can make pretty much the same type of music that you've been making that people fell in love with you for making, but it seems to be more prominent now than ever to me, since, you know what I mean, I've been listening to hip hop, is that telling someone they too old, or just because you are old, that automatically equates to you washing up, which is a fallacy, because that's to say if you're young and you make music that automatically makes you good just because you're young making music. No.
That's counterproductive to anything. Well, there's okay. You can look at music like sports for this analogy, right? You're super energetic and you have all the, for lack of a better word, energy, young. You know what I mean? Then you get skilled and you reach what people would call your prime. And typically in sports, after you pass your prime, you retire. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the thing that the people that athletes long for, I think outside of what they say, the camaraderie, like they all say the camaraderie is number one. But I would say number two, the thing that they starve for after their prime, when they have to retire, are the likes, are the fans, are the cheers, is the adoration, right?
Yeah.
In hip hop, you get all the energy, just like athletes when you're younger. You see what I'm saying? So you might be hotter because you got all the energy. When you're in your prime, you might be able to maintain that energy because your skill has increased. You see what I'm saying? Like you're better at it. You know more about what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? So you're better at songs. So and you're better at videos. You're better at performing. You should be in your prime. Now there's gonna be a point where you may be what they call past your prime, right? The problem is you still want the adoration. You wouldn't have to worry about ageism at all if you would let go of the adoration and the likes and continue to create art. You see what I'm saying? Like if you go ahead and create art, then there's no reason for you to have to let go of the art form that you love. Ageism shouldn't affect you. If you're looking for that shine, if you're looking for that heat and that intensity that you had early in your career, then yes, ageism is gonna affect you, because the people that attach themselves most to music, I think, are young. You know what I mean? Like I love music differently now. I think I love it as much, but it's definitely differently now than it was when I was young. I don't attach it to my life the way I did then. So if you're making music and wanting people of your age bracket to attach it to their lives, then you're not going to get that same effect. So you have to understand that the effect that you're looking for has to change. And that way of ageism will affect you less. But if you looking to stay in your prime or stay in that hot spot the whole time, or if that's what we're looking for, if we're looking for labels to give artists of stature, I will say, vintage artists, if we're looking for labels to give them that level of attention, it's never gonna happen, because that's not where the money is. So to speak, that's not where the maximum dollar is. So labels are gonna spend money where the maximum dollar is. They're not gonna They're not gonna spread it out like we know they should because it's healthy for the art. You know, they will age you out if you don't decide to take it upon your own hands. You know what I'm saying? Take it upon yourself to keep creating art and keep putting it in the world. If you don't do that, yeah, you're gonna get aged out. But you should get aged out because it's not about the art for you. Maybe that, you know what I mean?
Exactly, and that's the point. That's if you're trying to, to stay hot and all of that, you playing the game, basically. The money game. You're doing the business music, and I get it. Now, if you're doing that, then eventually, then I think when it comes to that, you can age out or be aged out, right? But if you're not chasing that, you're just trying to make good music, timeless music, there's no way. And even if the younger crowd that are attaching themselves to music more than maybe the older people, even if they are not attaching themselves to your music that you're making now, right, in your later years, they can at least say, damn it, he still rhyme. He still make good music. You know what I mean? Even if they be like, but I ain't fucking with it. But you know what I mean? But it shouldn't be like automatically you're old, get out of here. Unless you white. But the thing is I like your analogy, but the only difference with that is when it comes to sports, when you deal with like the NFL, they got a certain amount of time, like a certain amount of time that they're going to be able to play the game. Even with baseball, a pitcher has a certain amount of time. He's going to a certain amount of years. With hockey, all of that because it's got physical impact.
Right.
So the wear and tear on their body as they get older, like you got some sports that has the career span is longer than others. But that's what I'm saying when it comes to hip hop and music, is beautiful because it's one of the few talents, you know what I mean, outside of sporting arena, other stuff that you can just keep doing because you can do it.
You know what I'll throw in there as your to be the impact on your body in hip hop. It might not necessarily be an impact to your body, but it represents that is the narrative that you choose in the beginning of your career. If you choose the wrong narrative, that's just like choosing football over baseball. If you choose football over baseball, you're going to have a shorter career on average.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? If you choose the wrong narrative, you're going to have a shorter career on average.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the example that you've highlighted, I think, multiple times with 50 Cent. He chose a narrative that it wouldn't make. Imagine. So now it seems like I'm kind of arguing against my point. I'm not, but I'm only highlighting what you just said, which is a great point and for consideration for new artists. Is the reason why the rock stars, the country stars, all the other genre stars can still tour and still do their thing at 60 and 70 is because their music still makes sense for their persona, right? Now, when you're 70, when 50 Cent is 60 years old, it's going to be very hard trying to sell that or be the person that he was or the persona that he adopted and came into the game with, performing, in the
club. It's gonna look crazy. It's gonna be crazy. Yeah. So now that you got to that point, I have some things here I want to. You like?
Okay.
If we the dominant narrative. Of this genre, what would you say the dominant narrative? If it, like three dominant narratives, 3 words, 3 different things that would be the dominant narrative of hip hop. What would you say they would be?
One main one is like street life.
Okay.
Street life is street life. Nah, I'm just.
Okay.
But okay, so wow, street life. I don't even know what to call it, but I'm the best rapper narrative.
Braggadocious, okay.
Braggadocious, street, and then like I would say boss. Boss.
Okay. So the three that I have are crime, party, and sex. Like the three most dominant narratives
Uh, yeah,
in
yeah,
hip
yeah.
hop.
That's
You know
so
what I
fun.
mean? To me,
Yeah.
it's crime,
Hmm.
parties, and sex,
Yeah. Part
or
the
sex
big
and or
one.
drugs.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. I see that.
You know what I mean? But if
Definitely
we
that
so
party.
if we scroll over, and what would you say the dominant narrative of pop music is?
Be happy, party.
Party and love. That's what I got written down.
Mhm.
All right, rock music.
Yeah, it's funny because it's changed so much, but I think the same thing would be party.
Yeah, it's I got
Party,
rebellion,
definitely drug culture, heavy
rebellion,
rebellion, drug.
love, and party. That's what I
Yeah,
got. And in country music, I actually have home life,
love.
love, and
Hmm.
party.
Hmm.
R&B, love, and sex, and then party.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's funny. I see what you're doing. I see you a good lawyer. You good, man. That boy bad now. That boy fine. I see what you're doing.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But you see what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah.
is the dominant narrative of hip hop childish, which doesn't allow our artists to age.
Mm. Yes, I think absolutely. A lot of times in hip hop, the artists adopt a narrative that don't allow them to age well,
Mm-hmm.
and which ends up making them irrelevant because number one is no one can buy into it anymore.
Right. And if it's the dominant narrative, then it's the face of hip hop, right? If the
Hmm.
dominant narrative is childish, then the face of hip hop is childish. So once you get older, you no longer represent the face of hip hop.
Right. Exactly. Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's something that we could probably fix internally. How would the labels respond to it? Probably not favorable.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
but if the labels don't respond to it favorable, it's fine because we are in the age of what I might call how might I say this thing? The decade the ageism died, I think.
Mm.
We in that era where ageism can die if we kill it. Because it exists. It exists. It's a real thing.
Yeah. It is. It
It's a
is.
real thing.
Now, now what's funny is for man. Hmm. See, a lot of what is going to end up happening, it's a lot. It's a lot of ways to dissect this thing. Now, what's going to happen is a lot of things that young artists was perceiving as hate on them by older
Yeah.
generation. As they get older, they're going to understand, oh,
Yeah.
this wasn't hate. I get what you was trying to say because now nobody wants to hear me.
So
I'm aged out, meaning like I feel like it meaning we already discussed how everyone hopped in hip hop. It's a lot of people. We had an influx of artists, not because they love the artistic expression and they really were a true artist in love with this culture and music, but
right.
they hopped in because it was a money train. So
Exactly.
it's like, yo, if you can sing a little jingle, if you can just come up with the simplest thing with the right beat, with the right dance, with the right melody, you could pop and make money. And
Right.
so you got a bunch of starving people, which I don't, it's a double-edged sword because I don't fault the people.
Right.
Because you look at the dominant of black people in America who makes up, the basically most of the hip hop music industry, they're living with super disenfranchised, come from very impoverished areas. So I understand any legal way out, and as legal is better than the illegal route. So
Damn right.
that became the new hustle. Now that's good and bad. It's good because okay, instead of you picking up a pack and going to sell it and getting locked up and becoming a statistic, you actually are trying to adopt the art form and get money that way. The only problem is even whether you do something illegal or illegal, do the shit with integrity.
Boom. That's a
You know
fact.
what I mean?
Yep.
And if they would have did it with integrity, okay, you can get music, but at least try to be good. At least understand what you are, you know what I mean, getting into
Yeah.
when you join into this hip hop culture as an artist. You know what I mean? Because if not, then you are going to age out. What you're talking about is going to age out.
Yep.
And
Your
and
style of music is gonna age
style
out.
of music
All of
is
it.
gone, and we'll never mention you again.
Yep.
But guess what? I don't give a damn if we doing this podcast in 2055. We still going to mention Kane. We
Facts.
still want to mention Cole. 30, 40 years from now, we still will mention Kendrick.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, because these are people that actually love the music and pursued it with integrity. Now, to the point that you was making about us being able to kill it in this time frame, I accredit Jay-Z a lot with that. Him and Nas too, because none of these people are really young. Nas, Jay, Jim Jones just dropped the classic. A year or two ago. None of these people young. You
All
know
of
what I
them
mean?
are older
Everybody
than
over
me.
40.
All of them are older than me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and me. So, but Jay being his age and then putting out 444, and he's showing you how to be dope. Because this is what happens. And this is going back to the guy on the TikTok that sparked this topic for me. They see older as corny. Like you know what I mean? Like get older is you're lame, you're out of touch, you're corny. But Jay made getting older fly.
He made it
And
fly to us. I'm
he
gonna tell
made
you.
it fly to us. Might not be fly to them, but nobody says 444 is a whack album.
Nah.
You get what I'm saying?
Nah, but I'm gonna tell you what the issue is though, because it's funny you bring up Jay, and you brought me right to something that I wanted to bring up. Young Thug was in a Billboard magazine interview. Matter of fact, it was in 2015, and he said Jay ill as motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? He was like, yo, Jay one of the illest. But I'll never buy Jay-Z's music. Jay-Z's too old. He was like 30, 40, you know what I'm saying? Like he you know what I mean, like 50 years old. Like when I get his age, I probably won't even be doing what Jay-Z's doing right now. You see what I'm saying? But this is him in 2015, fresh in the game, young, don't know nothing. You see what I'm saying? This is how he spoke on Jay-Z. Now in an interview with T.I. this year, on Expeditiously, you know what I'm saying? This same man spoke about Jay-Z, was like, yo, Jay-Z's supposed to give us all the secrets and all the keys that he know, because you understand what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, I'm way closer to 40 than I am 20. You see what I'm saying? He's on there talking about longevity. He's on there talking about, you know, that's speaking to your point. Exactly. So what the younger artists, but I think this may be the age or the era that ageism dies, is because you have that connection. Like Thug is still an artist that connects with younger people. And if they listening to what he's saying, they're getting that gem, because that connection is being made, because we're in an era where the artists can sit and talk to each other without Source Magazine having to be involved. And a person can sit and listen to a conversation like this, and if a smart kid is going to get perspective from this. A numbskull is going to be like, yo, I ain't studying them old heads. You know what I mean? But we understand that old head syndrome, all the kids don't feel that way. Actually, most of them don't even feel that way. The ones that feel that way, the ones that feel like we old heads and not OGs, is the ones that done got sons somewhere along the line.
Right.
They done got disrespected or played to the left, or you see what I'm saying, or sunned, or you know what I mean, or disappointed or let down. Like that's the ones that's old headedness. But the ones that most of us is gonna big bro you and OG you to death.
Right.
That right there lets you know they want the information. So we have the opportunity, especially with all this technology, to end ageism in hip hop, especially because we can go direct to consumer.
Right. True.
Because we know that the labels is not going to support this.
Right.
The people will. Like, there's music that I want to hear that will relate to me differently than what an 18-year-old to 20-year-old to 25-year-old MC is doing. You know what I mean? There's some nice 35 to 45-year-old MCs that can make heat that I can relate to better than I can what a 21 or 22-year-old person can make. They should still be making that music. And if the label ain't gonna support it, it's plenty of ways to get it to the people, because Spotify exists, SoundCloud exists, United Masters exists, YouTube exists. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instagram exists.
Right.
Facebook, where all the old people all exist.
Right. Graveyard social media. Yep.
You know what I mean? Wait, that's what they say, but it's all in what you. I mean,
that's just my personal. That's what I call it.
You might call it that, right? For real. This is real talk, right? For the level of conversations that we're having, where do you think our audience is? On Instagram or on Facebook?
Well, I'm gonna say Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna say they are on Instagram too.
Yeah, but they not paying attention to nothing but pictures on Instagram, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not clicking no links. Old people ain't clicking no links on Instagram. They ain't doing nothing but scrolling and liking, fam. They not clicking through to your YouTube videos, none of that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The people that can understand the intellect that we dropping on mass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They on Twitter, but it's a lot going on Twitter. You got to get their attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I get it, but...
Yeah. Oh, man.
When you got to know who the people are. Like, Instagram, we got to be talking about something salacious on Instagram.
Yeah. Word. So,
but yeah, I mean, ageism, man. I don't know. So, I guess the thing is, do you want critical acclaim or do you want popularity?
Well, I get that. What does putting out good music bring you? Which one?
Putting out quality music brings you critical acclaim.
Okay.
Now, over time, it might get popular, but the quality of the music ain't dictating the critical acclaim. I mean, the popularity of it as much, especially in the music business, in the business music that we talking about.
Right. Well then, the artist better focus on being critically acclaimed.
That's all they should. But that's all they should ever be focused on.
Right. Because when you study all of the greats that we even mentioned, when you talk about top 5, this or that, right? All of the great ones that you'll mention, they focused on the art first.
Yeah.
And being good at that. Because if you're so nice, you ain't going to get overlooked.
Facts.
The popularity came. Nas focused on being dope first, and then he got popular.
Right.
Same with Jay when he reinvented himself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Same with Big. He focused on being nice.
Even somebody like Pop, even as popular as he got,
right.
He was. If you listen to anybody talk about his recording sessions, he was focused on getting his art off.
Right.
He was focused on getting it off. Like, move on to the next one. Like, y'all do that, I'm gonna get mine off. You see what I'm saying? Like, he was an artist. He let the producers be an artist in their own right. You know what I mean? But he was an artist, and he was cranking out art at a you know what I'm saying, insane level. But that's what it was about. It was about the art. It's about getting his shit off. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's the thing. There's a few ways I think we could take care of this problem ourselves, though, man. Like, for one, continue these conversations between younger artists and older artists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We got to make sure that's continued. Like, that conversation between Thug and T.I., I think was important. Because Thug probably don't even remember saying that about Jay-Z.
Yeah.
You know? But if you read it, you like, damn, this nigga hating like hell. Like, damn, this, you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, you say he ill, but you discredit, just like that TikTok video, because of his age. All he's doing right now is invalid to you.
Right.
That's insane. But hip hop is young though, so I like to say this is the first time we're gonna have to go through this, but this is the only time we're gonna get to go through it.
Mm-hmm.
So we really are responsible for doing something about it.
Right. I will say this. I think it some things naturally work itself out, right? And then sometimes you got to be active in helping it work out. I think both is happening. I think this whole ageism thing is naturally being worked out, but like you said, but I think there's a part that we have to actively be involved to help it too, which is like you're saying, the conversation, keeping the conversations going. But when you look, this is to me in this time frame, this new era, so to speak, you see a lot of younger artists and older artists collabing. I haven't seen that. You know what I mean? Like,
Wait,
I'm just throwing this out as an example, like a Jim Jones featuring Lil Durk, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, you just seeing a lot of features. Like nowadays, the time you see a lot of that that you didn't see so much back in the day.
I'm gonna tell you one thing. I think you see it more now because the older artists of today realize that they have to reach back.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? They have to reach back. They know it. If they don't, then their relevance is gonna only exist with the people that grew up with them. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think older artists from eras before, I don't think were as willing to reach back. One, because there was a huge stylistic change.
Huge.
Huge. So an older artist jumping on a newer artist record at the time during our era sounded strange as shit.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like even Rakim sounded bad next to people in the era. So it Big Daddy Kane didn't sound right next to, you see what I'm saying? It just because the eras, the style changed so much. I think people like Jay, people like Jim Jones, like those types of people, I think they were so influential on the era that came after them, and they stayed relevant style wise, that made it able to be more collabs. You know what I'm saying? It created that ability for more collaboration between the age groups.
Right.
Now, I think the other thing is these artists are doing what they have to do to get that critical acclaim, but they making their last stabs at that relevancy.
Yeah.
And that attention.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? Because the records that they're doing as collab records with younger artists, I don't know that the younger artists are bringing anything to the record other than the newer sound.
Right.
I don't know if they bring anything gem wise or content wise, or you see what I'm saying? But they bringing that sound that makes that record sound fresh.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but it's necessary. It's needed. I like it. You know, I like it. I like, you know, but there's a few names I wrote down, right? Artists that's 36 and above, 35 and above, like Pusha T, 2 Chainz, Rhapsody. You know what I'm saying? There's tons of them.
Yeah.
Jim Jones, you know, they're all relevant and they all doing numbers. But I think what we have to realize for ageism to really die in this era, what we have to realize is that all of those artists are popular, but they're not popular to a certain age group.
Right.
Some of these artists don't even exist to a certain age group. You know what I mean? And it's okay. It's perfectly okay.
Right. You just reminded me of something. And I don't know if it's I don't know if it's so much what the artists are their content or what they're saying that the younger don't like, or if it's just the fact that they old, or a mix of the two. Because now check it, right? This is the other thing I meant to tell you about that that was kind of funny, But it was funny, but it also added to me wanting to bring this topic up with the TikTok. I'm doing a photo shoot here, right?
Yeah.
At my place with these two girls. One of them, I think she said she was 25, and her friend must have been 25 or 24, something like that. But they between 23 and 25, right? And so we playing music. Now the one that I'm shooting, she be up on a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? She love Jid or JID. She love Boogie. She loves certain new artists and certain new like artists that be rapping, right?
Okay.
So we exchange music sometimes. Like she put me on to the two rapping girls from London, Gifted Gabs and Blind, like moms. So I'll be like, yo, you ever heard of Shay Noir? She had never heard of her. So I play that for her after she told me about those two girls that she put me on to. We just taking turns playing different music on you know what I mean, the speaker. So she liked Shay Noir. She like, oh yeah, she dope, right? Then one of Shay Noir's songs plays that's featuring 38 Special.
Okay.
And they laughed him out the room.
Yeah, he sound like a cartoon character to them.
Right. Yo, now let me tell you what he said. And this is one of the lines he said. Can't give some of these new niggas drugs. They might try it. Right? He was saying like that was the line. They was like, this old nigga. Like literally laughed, said that he sound like an East Coast E40. They said that's how he sounded.
Wow.
I guess like like Sonic.
And I know what they're hearing.
Right,
That's, right. You know the first thing I said is they said he sound like a cartoon character.
Right, yeah, I know. So
I know what they hearing.
Sound like an East Coast E40, but then they was really laughing at that line, and this is where it brings me to the content thing, because they're thinking like, this is the drug era. What the fuck you mean they might try it? We
They're
do drugs.
Try
that's what
it.
we do. Like it was like, see this old nigga. Literally, that's what the other girls said. This old nigga. Then they like mocked him like oh, don't try, might try the drugs. They ain't want to hear shit he had to say. The rest of the verse, right? Then one more. Then I play R.J. Payne. Like I play an R.J. Payne song for the girl because she's really in the bars, right? But even that, and so I'm just studying though. Because it's music we both like. It's music that I like, she didn't like. And it's some stuff she like, I don't like. But obviously, I'm 39. They're 23 to 25, right? So the RJ Payne, literally after, I ain't even fronting, like 7 seconds of one of the songs I played that I thought was going to be a song that they would like, right? After about 7 seconds, the two girls are mocking dude to each other while his verse is playing like, yo, I splatter you this, I do that to you. Like, oh, yo.
Yeah.
Super animated laughing. It was like, I come through and I do this and I do that. They're like, man, you want to hear that shit?
But that's the catch though. Like, it's certain types of hip hop that just don't speak to a certain generation, right?
Right.
To the masses of that generation.
Absolutely.
But it's enough of us out here that they could be dumb popular.
Right.
They might not be multi-millionaires. You see what I'm saying? Like based off sales and tours. But they can be good.
Have to, you know what I mean?
For sure. They can make music for a living.
Right. Make music. That's the thing. Make music for a living.
Yeah, that's
really
the goal.
love that. You'll settle. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take that. I'll take that every day, twice on Sunday, 3 times on Monday.
Right. You know what I mean? But that's I think a good point. I think too many people thinking, I'm talking about the older people, I have to do something to be popular and to get this money and all of this, when you could do what you do without compromising your musical integrity and still there's enough, it's like it's enough to go around. You know what I mean? Like Rakim, Juice, I got enough to go around. Like, listen, it's enough, like you just said, it's enough out here for you to be popular amongst a particular demographic of your peers and hip hop listeners that you can live off your art. And that's great. You may not reach Drake status off it, but you can live comfortable and live off your art, which is good. You was blessed with a talent, you cultivated it, and you're reaping benefits of it
Right.
so much so that you don't gotta go check in and clock in at a Walmart. That's
Facts.
good. That's
And,
a win.
and let me tell you a secret out there in YouTube land and podcast land. You was never gonna be as popular as Drake anyway.
Right.
That shit wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
So you know what I mean? You not settling.
Yeah,
You
you know.
winning. Let me tell you something. And this is something that Nunu told me a long time ago. New seemed priceless. You know what I mean? One of the nastiest MCs I know.
Nice.
Nice. Shout out to Nunu, right?
Mm.
But he told me, bro, me and you achieved every single thing in music we ever set out to achieve.
Mm.
Every single thing we ever wanted to achieve, we did. We might not have done it on the level that we dreamt of doing it. But it's up to us to gauge what the success is. You see what I'm saying? Like, if we put the success way out there, then the stardom and the legendary status we didn't get there. You know what I mean? But if we said we wanted to set out to be major label record producers, drop albums, you see what I'm saying? Have the respect of people knowing we super nice. You know what I mean? Like, we did every single thing we set out to do. You know what I mean? Own music studios, work, slept, ate music for years on end. Every single thing we set out to do, we did.
Right.
I think that's a Zen approach to the way I think these people need to look at the rest of their careers. You know what I mean? Like, don't try to relive what that was. You see what I'm saying? Understand that there's if I think most of these legacy artists need to understand that if they ain't out there creating great art, that shit won't exist.
Right.
That piece of art that you decided that you was gonna create will not exist if you don't create it. So if you think it needs to be there, and this is me and you know what I mean? So like, I don't need to be popular. I just need to be nice.
Right.
Fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need to be popular. I just need to be nice.
Right. And yeah, that's a great point. And I'm just thinking this is this will go for every artist because nobody stays young forever. Even the artist that just came out a year ago, he's a year older this year, right?
Facts.
And he's only going to keep getting older by the day, right? So what all of the artists need to do, I think one of the things is just as rappers we need to learn to do is embrace your individual evolution because that's going to impact the way I saw and the things I listened for and the way I interpreted. For instance, Mobb Deep Infamous album when it came out back then in my teenage years is not the way I interpret it, hear it at 39. I'm picking up on nuances in the music now that I didn't even care about then. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So what I'm saying is, as people grow, as you age, you're going to evolve, and your perception is going to change because the individual is changing. So your perspective on the world, life, yourself, your family, all of that is going to evolve with you. So you can't say the same. So it looks crazy if you got a person that's 50 years old, 45 years old, trying to imitate or do their best rendition of Lil Durk, Gunna.
Yeah, shit
You know what I
gonna
mean?
sound crazy.
Or a younger self. Like, you can't go backwards. That's what people gotta understand. Stop trying to go backwards. You can go forward and become progressively better at each level that you go to with the new. And that's the thing about the musical integrity. If you always was about being dope, you'll say, okay, you out of your younger phase, you're in an older phase now, a different stage of your life and evolution.
Right.
But it's something new that you can articulate. It's a new type of content, but you can still, if you're nice, you can still make it palatable to the average listener.
Exactly. And you know what's funny is I think that's what, speaking to that TikTok that started this whole conversation, I think that's what 2 Chainz isn't doing. 2 Chainz with the music that he's releasing, I feel like he's trying to create the level of energy that he was 5 to 6 years ago. We've watched him grow. We know who he is. Like now is he need to be the only thing he needs to be worried about is critical acclaim and legacy from here on out.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because
right.
that's a in my opinion that's a reinvention.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Everybody know they can party with you. You see what I'm saying? Now if you transition into this grown man MC, then you see what I'm saying? That's gonna pique the interest of the people that rock with you 5 or 6 years ago, because they done grew up too.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And it's also gonna give people that's in your actual age bracket something that they can with some meat on it.
Yeah.
You know, like, but you have to let go of something. You gotta sacrifice something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're gonna have to let go of something, and it's okay. And it's okay. And I think ageism has worked against us because we wasn't able to let go of that thing, and labels knew we wasn't able to let go of it. And so because you're not able to let go of it, you underperforming, we squeeze you out.
Right.
And it's always going to be more beneficial to us to sign somebody younger and dumber because we can beat them over the head. This is your 3rd contract. You want real money. The fuck out of here. We're going to make your next record tank. You see what I'm saying? Because you're looking for too much money. We don't really want you around here no more. You know what I mean?
Yo,
so
your old ass.
with your old ass. You see what I'm saying? Because you're too smart. You've gotten too wise.
Right.
So this is deeper. These are deeper reasons for ageism here. You see what I'm saying? Like you sit around a label for 3 record cycles, right? You smart. It's time for 5 record cycles. If you was an old head, and now you ringing up, and they looking at you like shit.
Right. When you say that, when we look at people like a Nas and a Jay with 10 or more albums, you see they imagine them still just being signed to a label. No way. No way.
No reason.
And no reason. You know
no,
what I mean? Definitely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have that.
They had to go, like Jay had to go somewhere and start his own situation to continue being an artist and make what he was worth.
Right.
Otherwise, if he was dependent on a label to do it for him, then he'd have been squeezed out. We wouldn't even be talking about Jay-Z right now.
Right.
The way we talk about Jay-Z. If he depended, wow, I had never really considered it that way.
Yeah, but that's true.
Yeah.
We wouldn't
be talking about that man this way. They'd have squeezed him out. They'd have made sure his career was a dud.
Yeah. And if they did that early enough, he wouldn't even be at the status we're talking about. Because to say if that would have happened after Hard Knock Life Volume 2, which you don't particularly like that album, but he wouldn't have been around. We definitely wouldn't be singing his praises.
Nope. I mean, if they'd have got hold to him, if he'd have signed a regular record deal, I mean, just for comparison's sake, we see how late in life Nas signed a record deal. Like he signed to Def Jam when Jay-Z was president there. You see what I'm saying? Now, at that late in his career, Jay-Z had decided to sign a deal.
Mm-hmm.
I think even then, they would have found a way to squeeze him out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would have worked because it's always in the label's best interest to deal with somebody that's lesser informed and younger.
Absolutely, because that's more money for them.
Right. Especially when you asking for what you worth. They're like, hell no, you can't get that, family. You can't get that. Hell no, you can't get what you worth.
Yeah.
We have to worry. We have to. I think this is one of these conversations, like you said, we need to have this conversation more often with aspiring artists. So, but the hardest thing for us to overcome in trying to end ageism in hip hop is that narrative, though.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing for us to overcome. There's ways for us to work around the labels. There's ways for us to work
Yeah.
around, you know what I mean, everything except for us choosing the wrong narrative early in career. And so many of us choosing that narrative, that narrative is the childish face of hip hop.
Right, which automatically introduces ageism
Exactly.
into hip hop, even by default.
By
Yeah.
default.
Hmm.
Exactly. So that's what we have to do. We have to figure that out. If we could influence people to shift their narrative some. Like I received a song today from one of my young boys. Song fire. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Hook, hot, beat, fire. Like he could pick
Yeah.
beats. You know what I mean? Like it's fire. But this dude, after he sent it to me, he texted me and said he got to redo one part because it sounded like he said he started trapping, but what he actually said is so I started rapping.
Uh,
So what this so but I thought he was saying so I started trapping.
hmm.
This song gangster as hell. He's gangster. Like he talking wild.
Yeah. Yeah. uh,
But it's fire, but it's bro, you talking way too like I know you, son. Like you
yeah.
talking wow. I was surprised when he said he was changing it so he started rapping. Like you might as
Right.
well said trapping. The rest of
Yeah.
the song is wild.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
But I think, but that's one of them situations. It's one of them situations where I could call him and talk to him and be like, okay, how can you write this song that's truer to what you actually are and what I feel like you actually trying to say. See what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I feel like what he's trying to say is all these things are the decisions I could have made, but I started rapping. But that ain't what you hear.
Right.
Maybe I need to listen closer. But you see what I'm saying? But it's just that narrative thing. I'm just saying the narrative that they choosing is the narrative they see.
Yeah. I feel you. I feel you.
All
Mm.
that to say the narrative they choosing is the narrative they see.
Yeah. Uh, I'm just I'm thinking about 444, and I'm just thinking about how Jay-Z did that. Um, and like how he made music. See, I think this is the artist's struggle or dilemma
Okay.
with getting older. Like, say if you do have longevity in the game, the first album came out, first album, 96, solo project, right? And then here he is releasing 444, what, 3 years ago in 27.
2017, yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's a long time to be in the game, right? So I'm X amount of years older. I'm not that person I was in 96, but it's like that persona. I think people struggle with how do I how do I remain, quote unquote, my true self at this age, my true self to what I was saying back then and now. Like, damn, if I can't talk about that, it's like I don't have nothing to talk about. But I think, to me, Jay-Z solved the dilemma. But let me say this: the dilemma can only be solved if and only if you always was worried about being nice first, and the
Mm.
second, because he's able to marry together what could be arguably two adverse things. He's able to still talk like he's able to update his street talk into a past tense while talking about where he presently is in his life and make it make sense and weave it together, right? He never lost himself. He he still maintains the, for lack of better words, the old Jay-Z, but he married it with the new evolved Jay-Z. But I'm so talented, me speaking as him, I'm so talented and gifted at writing, I can marry these two things together and give you something fresh and new.
Okay.
Uh, And so
I got.
you see, like on Marcy Me, where you talk about past things. Um,
Right. But I have a question. I have a
yeah.
question. I have a question. Um, would you? Was there ever a time, thinking back
Hmm.
in Jay-Z's career, where you felt like he was currently hustling? Where you feel like the narrative was he was hustling at the moment, he was selling drugs right then?
No, I've never felt like that about any artist.
Nah, I'm talking about the narrative. Did you feel like his narrative was that at that point in time, while he was saying the rhymes, that his narrative was that he was a drug dealer?
No, all of it starting from Reasonable Doubt. If you listen, all of it was pretty much past tense.
That's why it works, because he was
Right,
always doing it.
right, and
You see what I'm saying? He never had to stop hustling while he was rapping.
right. I get what you're saying. And the funny thing is, and I take that back because Nori was still selling crack in '97 when Tony came out. That when War
Yeah,
Report album came out, and you can tell,
yeah.
right? And it was in present tense. But he hasn't had the career Jay-Z has had either. But he was smart enough to do some other things in music though. But uh, but I will say this: Jay-Z, he chose the right narrative. He never felt like he was presently saying he was doing it at that moment. And I'll say one reason why is honestly he couldn't, right?
Right.
Because he's coming off of that, right? If you listen to like Drug Dealers Anonymous, where he said before reasonable drop, the jury hung, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had just came out of a case.
Right.
So he's smart enough to know I'm not going to talk. Whatever I write, even if I was doing it, I'm going to make it seem like it was 10 years ago. This is pre my rap phase.
I get it, and I 100% agree.
Yeah, yeah.
But
The answer is yes.
the point is
No, I mean, no, I never felt like he was selling drugs at the moment.
right. So
Right.
Rick Ross on the other hand will tell you he's hustling right now in his raps.
Yeah, you kind of making me about to bomb on a few people. But yeah, go ahead.
You see what I mean? Like
Yeah.
50 Cent was a killer. Not he. I will kill you. You see what I'm saying? I'm looking for you now. You see what I'm saying? Like niggas is looking for me. I'm wearing the vest now. You see what I'm saying? All this stuff. So once the beef died down and once the problems died down, then you just gotta rap about your home life. Like 444. Nah,
Yeah.
for real. Like your home life, because that's what 444 is about. It's home life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because you've been rapping about your own life the whole time.
Right. True.
You know what I mean? Like your home life can be interesting if you've been rapping about your own life the whole time.
Well, you just solved it. What people are going to have to do is dismantle their created personas. That is 90% for 90% of the rap artists. It's a facade, and they actually going to have to rap about the person that they are.
That's the catch. That right there. That right there is how you end ageism in hip hop completely across the board. If you can get the dominant narrative in hip hop to be closer, you see what I'm saying? An embellishment
Right.
of who you are, not a fictitious character.
Mm-hmm.
An embellishment of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Then you won't age out if you nice.
Right.
There's less chance of you aging out if you nice.
Right, absolutely. I totally agree because you're closer to authenticity. And the irony of it is that will be when, or if that happens, that will finally be when hip hop artists are actually keeping it real.
Yep.
That's the closest. What we're proposing that artists do is the closest thing in hip hop to ever being keeping it real.
What hip hop says it is anyway.
Right.
The keep it real genre. If it does
Right.
it, if
That's
hip hop does what it says it is. How did that Drake said it. Once you believe you are who you see in the mirror, or some way he put that, like People afraid of you once you are who you believe you are. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Once hip hop becomes who it says it is, like who it believes it is,
yeah,
then ageism is out of the window. It's out of the window. I mean, that's easy. But so is this another one of those flaws of hip hop, like one of those mutations? Are we shackling ourselves from the inside just like ghostwriting?
Yes, we are. And we lifted the veil off of it, and now those who listen to it, the information is out there, the perspective is out there. We gotta, well, I think we highlighted what we see as the problem, and addressed it and gave a solid solution.
I think so. I think we just have to be honest about, are we causing our own problem, or at least we adding to it? You see what I'm saying? I think we giving them fuel to age us out. If we stop giving them fuel, then we get the win. You know what I mean? That's really what it boiled down to me. And that fuel is picking that wrong narrative and chasing the popularity versus the acclaim, critical acclaim. And if people don't understand what we mean by critical acclaim, we mean like your peers understanding your greatness. You see what I'm saying? The people that understand art, understanding what it is that you did was great. Like, if you can get that, then you should be able to make a career. You might not be Drake, but your ass wasn't gonna be Drake no way.
Right. Yeah.
But you can make a career off this thing, and that should be the goal.
That should be the goal.
That should be the goal. I don't know, bro. What you think? You think we did enough on this one?
Yeah, and we may have to revisit it at some point, see how things go.
Hey, we'll be here, God willing. You know what I'm saying? Inshallah, we'll be here. So we definitely going to circle back to the topic, man, because hopefully it'll be some progress made, yo.
Man, I am hoping. So.
I think so. I mean, look at what we're looking at. Like,
yeah,
I see it. I tell you what. If you can go back to our old episodes, and I don't know which one it is, but once we said that traditional hip hop may be like jazz, like, I don't feel like that anymore. And I think ageism, the decline of ageism, has a lot to do with why I don't feel like traditional hip hop is gonna become jazz.
Okay, that makes sense. I can totally see that.
So I don't know, man, but if that's it, man, we can close this thing out.
Yeah, I think I got it off my chest. I feel better.
Cool.
Now that we had this conversation, I feel much better.
Cool. Cause you came in hot, buddy. You was. If I didn't know you was that worked up, but I prepared like you was worked up. Let me show you. Hold on, that's page 1, 2, and 3. Three pages. You're saying 3 pages of thought. So I was like, yo, I noticed when you suggest one, you be about it. So let's,
Yeah. I'll close with this. The guy that initially started, led me to want to talk about it based off of what I felt like he was saying was foolishness on his TikTok. It showed me something that has to be changed. And that is music appreciation. We literally, I think, did an episode called Music Appreciation.
We did.
And that's a big thing. When you, because we already discussed it, so you can go check out prior episode about music appreciation, and so much coming out so fast, this, that, and the other. A lot of reasons why music appreciation is real down, and it's almost none at all. But we really have to highlight in our culture music appreciation. That whole concept has to make a resurgence. That will help also with ageism, because really, and some of it is just ignorance. Like, it's just like, he's older than me, like, I don't need to hear his music, he don't make good music. That's just the ignorant stance. you know.
Right.
Um, um, but yeah, so that's all I'll say on that. But I'm glad we had this conversation, and you brought up multiple great points that I think if taken heed to by the right people, it could definitely cause a shift in the culture in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so. I think we both did, man. I think if we and the thing is it's I think it's up to us to have these conversations with people that we know that are dealing with artists. You know, share these thoughts, and hopefully they'll do a little something. You know what I mean? To kind of guide these guys away from a narrative that we know ain't gonna be healthy for them long term. Hell, it might be healthy, unhealthy for them super short term the way these boys is getting killed nowadays. You
Man,
know, so
yeah.
you really have to take that into account, bro. You can't just be out here saying you 100 nigga down on a record.
Cause that that wears out real fast.
Especially when niggas start hunting your ass.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
and unfortunately, I hate to say, and this is nothing bad because this is a legendary group who we all love. I know you love them, I love them, and they have classic albums. But unfortunately, they did like just like 50. They adopted a narrative that it's hard for them to move beyond. So much so that even people, even their peers, don't check for them really any that much anymore. But like OP,
I knew you was gonna say MOP.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I knew you was gonna say MOP. As good as they construct songs, as well as they rap, they music does age out. Cause it's just too click clack gun rap. You know what I mean? Like it's just too I'll knock your face off. No, you won't, man. You 55. No, you won't. You see what I'm saying? So after a while, but yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Even though the last album they made was fire.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and that's what I'm saying. Not to take anything away from them because on Static Selector album 8, uh, volume 8 that he released 2 years ago, it was a dope song with an artist I never heard before, a new artist, but it was featuring Lil Fame. Lil Fame, he killed it. His
Yeah.
verse, you know what I mean? Beat was crazy. It was dope. But I'm just saying, like the project, if they was to put out a project, it wouldn't stick the same way now
Right.
as
Because
it did 15 years ago.
their narrative was we are Brownsville.
Yeah,
We
mash up posse.
we are this era Brownsville. And that's
Yeah,
what
but
you
the era
hear.
is long gone.
But that era long gone.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's exactly what they sounded like. We are this era Brownsville. That era, like you said, is long gone. They don't sound like that era anymore. They sound well. They don't sound like the current era anymore at all. They but 20 years. What? How many years? 15. At least 15 years removed from when at least.
At least, because you talk about that first album, shit.
Right.
We in 20.
Right. So, but you're right. Yeah, like it's and it could be great rappers like great legends like MOP that respected people. Not that we don't respect Ross, but I'm talking about respected on a boom bap level that could choose the wrong narrative.
Right.
Or choose a limiting narrative. I ain't gonna say they chose the wrong one because that might be who they were, but it was limited.
Yeah, yeah, definitely limited. Yeah.
Yeah, Onyx was a limited narrative.
Yeah.
You know, it's a whole bunch of them, and there's tons of them in this era. It's just one of the things that you just have to be careful of, and I don't think people. I think people choose the narrative that they think they can get most popular with. To be honest with you.
Oh yeah, for sure, because the popularity automatically equates in their mind to money,
Right.
and that's what everyone is basically chasing now.
Right. And if you want to be an artist, a true artist, then you'll probably be close to yourself as possible, because you're the one dictating the art. You don't want to be so far outside of yourself that the art is like a fiction novel. I didn't want that for me. You know what I mean? I had no desire for my art to be fiction.
Got you.
You know, I might wanted to be informative about something that I wasn't doing. You know what I'm saying? But that's not fiction.
Yeah, right.
That's a life I'm close to, and I'm trying to walk you through it as best as I see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm also going to
artfully.
I'm gonna do it as artfully as possible.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in that you getting me, you getting my art, you getting what I see. So when I tell you about myself, it's gonna sound like me talking about art.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It's gonna be me presenting myself artfully. So it's gonna blend right with me presenting this scene that I saw. You know what I mean? Like they gonna mesh. That's why somebody like not put myself on no Jay-Z or no Nas level, but that's why the choice and narrative is similar to something that I would have chosen, that I did choose for myself when I was rapping.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Without this, you know what I mean? But that was integrity. You spoke to it earlier. That's all it was integrity, bro.
Right.
That's all it was. That's all it was. But yeah. All right, man, what you think?
I think we done, man. We messed around, do 2 more episodes.
Yeah, because we done gave him a postscript. We done gave him a PS. You know what I'm saying? So, but if that's it, man, I'm just going to ask y'all to follow us at Conversate for a Few on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Anchor. Subscribe to the show, leave comments, rate the show, let us know what you think. Share the show with your friends, because that's the only way they're going to know that we here is if you let them know. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube, hit the notification bell, and leave us some comments in there too, man. We need to know what you think about these topics. It might give us some insight. Hopefully, I know it will give us some insight. Y'all don't think the same way we do. You know what I mean? So let us know what y'all think about the episodes. Stay tuned for the limited edition Tang Clan merch and the Conversate for a Few. I don't even know what to call it. Notebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. But stay tuned for all of that good stuff, man. It's coming. But with that being said, I'm Jonna.
I'm Alan. This was not a podcast about classical music.
Absolutely was not. This is a podcast about hip hop. Make room for the tag.
Conversate for a few.
Hustle, welcome, man, they had to send me. Hustle from Raleigh, live from NC with your hosts, John and Alan. Relate to the two, you are now listening to Conversate for a Few. Check it on SoundCloud, debate with your crew. They talking hip-hop from the late to the new. From July till June end, no Fridays for me, tune in. Please listen to this podcast. 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 Please listen to this podcast.